Welcome to CX Today. My name is Sandra. I'm a technology journalist, and today I'm joined by Umar Paul, Delivery Director at Makepositive, part of Sabio Group. Welcome, Umar. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Sandra. Very well, thank you. Delighted to be here.
Good. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the CRM industry and how Makepositive makes a difference in CRM. So before we kick off with the questions, Omar, could you please give us a brief introduction of yourself and the business?
Yeah, sure, Sandra. So I look after delivery for Makepositive. So Makepositive is a consulting organization. We help businesses get the best use out of Salesforce and really deliver on their CRM vision. So as a business, we would go into a company and help them with their roadmap, with their journey, and actually build out the CRM solution for them. So my role is to make sure that we do that successfully, and we do, the right thing for the customer and make sure they are 100% successful in achieving their vision. So that's how I would describe my role at Makepositive.
Great. So my first question for you today is, what are the top challenges in the CRM category?
So it's a very interesting question, actually. CRM has become huge in the last few years. And I think one of the things that's happened is it's moved from being very basic, looking after customer data and customer details, to becoming something that's a lot more complete for a business, a lot more complex. And I think one of the biggest challenges is really keeping a balance between something that's very easy to use for the customers, but at the same time delivering all of that complexity that you need to be able to deliver all of the functions and features which that business needs as well. So how do you balance that usability with the complexity and make that seamless? I think that's one of the key challenges. The other key challenge in the industry is that businesses change very, very fast now. Customer expectations change very fast. And so before, people would put in a process and it would last years, and they would have a way of working with their customers. But customers keep changing. They expect different things. It's a very fast-paced industry now. So, CRM has the challenge of keeping up with that pace as well. And at the same time, that whole concept of customer centricity, how do you keep the customer at the heart of everything you do? Businesses do lots of things in their business world. They do marketing, they do sales, they do service, they do order management, they do finance, they do HR, payroll, lots of things. But how do you keep the customer at the heart of everything you do? And businesses have a challenge, and particularly large organizations, where they need to move from being department-centric to customer-centric. And I think that's also, a big challenge which they're overcoming in the CRM space. And there's probably lots more to talk about, but that's what Makepositive does, right? That we sort of go and solve those challenges. But I think these are the key ones at the moment.
Right. And obviously there are a lot of players in the CRM industry right now. But what would you say are the most prominent differentiators among these platforms?
So again, I think it's over time, these platforms have evolved. They went from being something quite simple to being something hugely complex. And what a key differentiator for me is, when platforms actually invest time and money in building in best practice for the business. They start to think about which industry this company is in. So healthcare would work in a different way, telcos work in a different way, finance companies work in a different way. So it's not just a platform anymore. It's a platform that's geared to run your business in your industry in the best way possible. So, one of the differentiators is those platforms which build best practice into the technology themselves. So they invest hundreds of millions of dollars in doing so. So you can literally take this technology out of the box, switch it on, and a bit of tailoring and tweaking, and it's working for your business. That's one differentiator. The other one is, again, over time, because customer requirements change. Some platforms used to be very rigid. If you wanted to make a change on a platform, it would take weeks and months to get that change, even if it's adding one field on the screen. So, another differentiator now is, good platforms certainly are very flexible, and they allow you to make these changes, which are more business driven as opposed to technology driven. So, if the business needs to add a new process or to automate something or to put in place an approval process, they can do that with very quick drag and drop type of features. I think the other key one is connectivity. I think, so some platforms before, they were very closed, and like a bit of a black box. So you would use them for the features they had, but you wouldn't be able to connect them to other systems. And I think the data now flows from one system to another. So it'll go from CRM to finance. Payroll will also be paying commission for sales that are made to a customer. So you can see there's lots of different parts of the business get involved. So another differentiator is platforms which allow connectivity, nice open platforms, unlike previous platforms, legacy platforms, which are very closed. And with that also, very similar note is how platforms now differentiate themselves by having an ecosystem, having like an app store, where they have a whole ecosystem of developers and partners who build on their platform and actually solve real world problems using the technology. And then they can resell those, those apps, so to speak. So if, for example, Salesforce, which is, the world's number one CRM platform, and that's, Makepositive is a top tier partner for Salesforce. If Salesforce doesn't do something out of the box, you can be pretty sure that there's a customer has done it before, and there's probably a partner who's built some technology which you can plug in like an app onto the Salesforce platform. So, that's another differentiator. Before, systems never used to do that. When it really opens the world up to using technology in all sorts of different ways. So those are the, I think, key differentiators. And I've seen over my time, I've worked across a number of CRM platforms, by the way. So I used to work for Oracle. I did work for Siebel. I was actually blown away by the agility that modern platforms such as Salesforce have now. That things that you can do within seconds by dragging and dropping, whereas 15 years ago it would take you weeks to even add a field onto the screen. So it's moved a long way. Mind blowing actually how agile these systems are now.
Yeah, completely agree. So as Makepositive is a Salesforce partner, how do you supercharge CRM?
So it's interesting actually. So Salesforce as a platform, as you can imagine, has grown immensely from over the last few years. It does so much. It does marketing, sales, service, order management in CPQ. There's so much functionality. Even front end um, design of self-service portals. Using something called Experience Cloud. There are so many features that when you buy Salesforce as a business, the first thing you think about is, oh my God, where do I start? How do I get a part of my business onto this platform, and how do we start using it? I might need to add some fields. I might need to change the processes. I might need to change the security permission so that people access it in a different way. What about my reports? What about my dashboards? There's so much to think about, and that's where Makepositive as a partner comes in. Right? So a company would buy Salesforce, and then Makepositive would help that company use Salesforce and get the best out of that investment that they've made. How we are different actually is, rather than go in and just ask questions about, okay, what are your requirements, and we'll build it for you or we'll change it for you. We like to work with a company and really understand how they want to progress as a business. What is their vision? What is their strategy? And actually then help enable that transformation through the best use of technology. And we've done this time and time again, and we've learned lots of things along the way. So, how we kind of supercharge that process is by having learnings from over 1,500 projects that Makepositive has done over the last few years. So we've taken learnings, we've built accelerated frameworks. These are really important because it wipes out months that you would have in traditional effort. Imagine starting from a blank piece of paper and going into a company and asking them about how they do their business and how they work and what they want the process to look like. Well, actually, we've done 80% of that work already. So we would go in and say, well, this is how it's best done in your industry using Salesforce. Now let's talk about how we want to tweak and tailor. And it really makes it much, much faster. So that's how we essentially supercharge. The other advantage now we have at Makepositive, being a part of the Sabio Group, is Sabio is a customer experience company, and Sabio deals with customer experience at the front end. So when you make that phone call or when you invoke a live agent, that's your front end experience as a customer. It has to be super smooth and super seamless. Sabio has been doing this for many, many years. When you've got through to the person you're speaking to, they would then use a CRM system to access your information and help process, whatever query you might have. Now, imagine bringing those two together, so you've got a seamless end-to-end experience, right from the front end all the way through to the CRM components as well. And then Makepositive is also good at integrating with other systems as well. So, we deliver the entire end-to-end experience. So, yeah, having that knowledge of lots of different technologies between Sabio Group and Makepositive, the telephony products, the contact center products, the AI products, and then the CRM platform, Salesforce, the integration products that help to integrate with different systems, all the technologies, they all come together, in one nice package. And that sort of seamless turbocharging, is what Makepositive does. And it makes us very successful. Proud to say we've had very, very good feedback from our customers. An average of 4.9, I think it is, our CSAT. So out of 5, and across the 1,500 projects which we've done. So we know we're doing a good job. And businesses, always use us as a trusted advisor. So whenever there's something going on in the platform or the Salesforce world, or they want to know how they can enable the best use of technology, they reach out to us, and that's a really nice position to be in. So
Yeah, I guess the results speak for themselves.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So looking forward, which technologies do you think will be most important in CRM in the future?
So yeah, it moves so fast. CRM moves so fast. I think one of the things that's happened over the years is trying to improve that experience for the customer. Customer experience is now king. Customers have choices, right? They can move from one supplier to another or one provider to another, based on just the experience they have. Similarly, employees have the experience which they want, and if employees aren't happy working with a certain platform or a certain company, they move on because they've got choices as well. Keeping the balance between both, I think the technology that's important now is the technology that keeps the balance between customer experience and user experience, and it's done in different ways. One key technical area is AI. I think that's going to be very, very embedded in everything we do in the future. Imagine a world where a contact center agent receives a call from someone, and the AI knows who you are, what your preferences are, what you like. There's a lot of data that it knows already, and it learns about things along the way, and it learns about the experience the customer is having now. So based on the way they write, based on the way they respond, the words they use, the transcripts. Imagine all of this being captured in the background, and then used for the next time that customer calls. Right. So AI, I think, is very, very powerful. If you imagine an airport journey, you check in at the check-in desk, and you might have had a bad experience because you were asked to pay for your extra luggage, for example. It upsets people. But having technology that understands your sentiment, and that feedback gets passed on to the next stage of your journey. So by the time you get to the security gate, the people over there know that you didn't have a nice time at check-in, and they have an opportunity to recover your journey there because the data is being sent through. And what the machine learning component of this will do is learn as we go along to try and improve our experience. So it's always ever improving. So I think AI is one big, big, big area. Automation has got to be the next piece of tech. So all the technology that allows us to automate things. You might feel that, does automation mean that humans become further from the process? That's another worry that people have, but that's absolutely not the case. It means that they don't have to do the repeatable, mundane task. And it might not even be mundane, because automation combined with AI, technology can do lots of clever things. But what it means, though, it leaves the humans to do that very important human touch. Right? That will never go away. Machines can never replace humans and the connection that we have with people. So it'll mean that we become more human while the machines do the machine work, right? So, which I think is a nice thing. Connectivity, another really important part of tech. Everything's become mobile. Before, it used to be website only, and then you'd have to get to a computer, you'd have to go to an internet cafe or something. But now everything's on mobile. It's moving to wearables, touchables. So IoT is going to be a big thing, passing data from one system to another. Connectivity, 5G obviously is there, the speed at which people can communicate and connect. And all of that has to come into CRM, because it's all a part of the customer's experience. So those sorts of, I think, the key tech. The other one other thing I'd like to add to that is how technology is now becoming a lot more industry aligned, and it's becoming more specialist. So it's not generic anymore. CRM is the same thing. For example, you might think CRM is quite generic, and it's used by a telco, and it's used by a finance company, and it's used by a media company. But actually, there's lots of different flavors. And even Salesforce, as a company, know this as well, and they're producing. In fact, they have already got industry-specific solutions. So you can buy Salesforce CRM for media, you can buy Salesforce CRM for manufacturing, or for telcos. And I think that's quite special as technology becomes more specialist. So that will really help accelerate the way companies can use and benefit from them as well. So I think there's quite a few sort of important innovation. I think the other voice is an interesting one as well, right? Everything is becoming voice enabled. I sit in my car, and I tell my car to navigate me somewhere if I need to. I don't need to press any buttons anymore. So it's all about, and it's what's really interesting is how this technology is becoming more and more human-like, in being able to communicate by voice, being able to listen, being able to see, being able to observe. There are very special cameras now that when you're on your journey, your shopping journey, the camera knows your sentiment, were you a happy customer, just by your face. How cool is that to be able to do that? So it's quite interesting how technology is trying to become so much more human. I think that is the future, right? That the technical world and the human world sort of come together, and that's pretty cool.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time today, Umar. It was a pleasure.
No problem, Sandra. No problem, Sandra. Pleasure. Thank you.
And if you like this conversation, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks everyone for watching. See you in the next video.